I've been meaning to write a blog post on this for a while, and I keep putting it off. So I finally decided I'm just gonna make some videos, kind of walking through what I'm thinking right now about this question that I always get asked. Like people are asking me, "Hey, what does SIFT for AI look like?" And the first answer to that is SIFT for AI could just be SIFT. Right? You're still going to have to do these things, right? You're still going to have to trace things to the source. You're still going to have to find like better coverage on issues. The source is not AI, so when you investigate the source, it doesn't mean like investigate ChatGPT, but you do have to, when you go to the sources it's pulling from, right, to the sources it references, you're going to have to investigate those, right? So I think you could just use SIFT, right? At the same time, one of the things I learned with SIFT is the concreteness of SIFT really mattered, right? The concreteness of SIFT really mattered. I talk about the difference between critical thinking and critical doing. SIFT was always a menu of things that you could do when you were looking at a claim on the internet, right? And part of the reason why SIFT works so well is it was just very concrete about the things you can do. You can investigate the source, right? You can find better coverage. You can trace the claim back to the original context. And then underneath each one of those categories, there were a couple techniques that were in those buckets. And I've been thinking about, and I'm still not sold on this, maybe we just rework SIFT, right? But I've been thinking about, okay, if we were going to just start from scratch and say, like, what are the habits, what are the moves that someone needs to know to use AI effectively? In this case, using AI mode from Google, what do those look like? This is kind of what I've come up with. Get it in, track it down, follow up. Again, just this is my best pass right now. One of the reasons I've been putting this off so long is I like want to get it perfect, but you can't get it perfect until you push it out into the world and see how it does. And so it's time to just sort of get that going, right? So let's take this here, right? Again, get it in, track it down, follow up. Let's take this here. It's probably useful to talk about what we might do if we were using search for this here. And we get a pretty good set of results. You can see that I've already run this once, right? It's not a bad set of results. Let's ignore the AI overview for a minute. We've got something from Woods Hole. It says, is sea level rise exaggerated? Photo of Plymouth Rock misrepresented to dispute something. Why is the Plymouth Rock still at sea level in 1620? Fact check, Plymouth Rock cannot provide an accurate something. Plymouth Rock still being at sea level is evidence against, right? And so you may think, like, what is the difference here? Like, just you get here and you see AP News and so forth. So I'll tell you what the difference is that if you're watching this, maybe you've developed a facility over a long period of time at reading a search engine result page. And you may think everybody out there reads a search engine result page really effectively. I'm here to tell you they don't. I'm here to tell you I've run workshops for like faculty, some of the smartest people in the world, and watch them try to read search engine result pages. And everybody's worse at this than they think they are. What is the difference? So what is the difference if we do this, right? Get it in just means this. Like, just let's get it in, right? We're just going to take that and we're just going to immediately do it. And note here, we don't have to think about, hey, what are our search terms, whatever. We just take the claim itself and we throw it in here, right? And then we're going to click AI mode. I really encourage you to skip over AI overview. Okay. The claim in the meme that Plymouth Rock is proof that sea levels have not risen is inaccurate, right? And so again, think about the difference between trying to sort of skim that search engine result page and think about what it seems to indicate, right? In skimming this, right? This isn't the specific rock. The rock has been moved. The rock was placed in its current location in 1920. It's not a fixed geological formation. Sea levels in the Boston area have risen approximately 1.5 feet since 1620. And the claim that the rock is always at sea level is false. It's often submerged, right? So I can actually tell you that I could probably scan the search engine result page, and even looking at some of these snippets, I could get an inkling that that is sort of the lay of the land that we were looking for. That is a map, of the information environment on this. But I will tell you that most people could not manage to extract that from the search engine result page. Now, here's where we get to our second thing. So we got it in, and we look at that synopsis. I think it's really important to still have students track it down, right? When they see the result, still track it down. And so what do I mean by that? So we're here. Where are we? Here. As we go through this, right, we see that it says sea levels have risen approximately 1.5 feet, right? Okay, and then we have this little link here. We're going to click that link, and then we're going to choose one of these, right? And so in this case, let's choose this one. And we're going to use a little trick from SIFT here. We're going to hit this, Control F, and search for feet. And then we can look and we can get the reference for that sea level rise. I'm trying to do this while talking, and I'm not, I think that this is actually what we should be looking at. I can't say that for sure, right? But you get the point, right? Get it in, track it down, right? Get it in, track it down. And really getting students to think of what we're looking at here, right, as a summary of material on the web, as a summary of material on the web. It may be an imperfect summary, right? Maybe an imperfect summary, maybe a summary of things that could be wrong, right? Maybe, there's people say a lot of wrong things on the web, right? But the same way we thought of a search engine result, I want the students to think about this as kind of a search engine result. And it's got the same strengths of a search engine result page and some of the same weaknesses. The strengths is we pull from this vast well of knowledge on the web. The weaknesses are sometimes the summary can be wrong. Our impression of what those pages are about can be wrong. And of course, a lot of times people say dumb stuff on the web, right? And it's just going to be reflected here, which is why, just like with the search engine result page, we want to track it down, right? We want to track it down. Just like I said, I thought to myself, I want 3 things here. And as I thought about it, absolutely one of those things has to be track it down. It's where so many students are going wrong. All right. Follow up. Let's take something else to do follow up, so we don't just talk about Plymouth Rock. Right, close that. Oh, geez, I don't know. Let's take. I don't know. I mean, some of these things are true, some of these are false. Let's take this one here. A landing foot on the lunar module with no trace of moon dust, almost like it was craned down on a Hollywood set. So you kind of know this again. Again, when we talk about misinformation, we're almost always talking about misrepresented evidence. Someone saying this is evidence, in this case, that we didn't go to the moon. And it's usually, if it really is, misinformation, it's usually misrepresented in some way. That's usually where the miss and the misinformation comes from, right? So again, we're going to search that. And we could see right here, third-party evidence for moon landing. Apollo landing footage would have been impossible to fake. Why the lunar module looked phased. Today I learned the mission was concerned about why didn't the Apollo lander blow the dust away. Why was there no dust? So I could go to this Quora thing. I will tell you, again, most students don't make it past this, the first result, right? Actually, there's a ton of click data that shows they're not really going to make it past these first 3, even if a better answer or an answer that is more focused on their issue is further down the page. So let's see what AI mode does. I don't know. We'll see. One thing, you'll get a different result here a lot of times. Sometimes it'll be good and sometimes it will be bad. But again, think of this as, I really want you to think of this as I I really want you to think of this as sort of a fancy search result, right? It's a synopsis of what it can go out and find on the web. And it kind of prepares you, just like looking at that search engine result page kind of gives you an impression of what questions you should be thinking of what issues you should be focused on. Like for a person that's good at reading the SERP, which is what we call the search engine result page, that search engine result page does exactly what this is doing for someone that is not good at reading the SERP. It's saying, hey, look, here are some things that we're going to look at. The footpads looked almost dust-free because there's no atmosphere. The lunar module's engine was throttled down significantly to prevent damage and avoid kicking up dust, right? Astronauts shut off the engine completely a few feet above the surface. And any dust disturbed by the landing was not drawn up towards the footpads, but rather forcefully blasted away, right? Now we could track this down just as we did before. But what I'm going to say here is I have this set of zoom outs here, these follow-ups that I use. So let's just take this, right? So what I'm trying to get across to students here with this, putting follow-up in as one of the three things here, is that you don't just want to take the first thing that comes at you. That's for a number of reasons. I have a much more complex presentation. I could show you some pretty interesting stuff about the ways that LLMs act that would show you why follow-ups end up being important. But in this case here, where are we here? Follow up. Where are we? Where did that go? Did we do this? All right. You'll see we'll get a different format to this result now. All right. So we get something that's kind of the same thing here, right? Now, if we're looking at here and we're like, okay, we see Quora, and we don't really like that, right? Here's one follow-up. A follow-up, these are what I call evidence-focused follow-ups. Evidence-focused follow-ups. And what I mean by that is focus on where we can get the best evidence from, best sources, things like that. Sometimes focused on sorting evidence for something and evidence against, if it's a little more nuanced than this. This is the moon landing, so not really. What is the best on lack of dust clouds in a vacuum? This is would actually be kind of hard for students to do. To come up with lack of dust clouds in a vacuum. So just being aware of that. I should do a different example where I type in something that's much less specific than that. But notice that we lean into that. We lean into that evidence-focused follow-up. And what are we getting now? We're getting sources like dust in the lunar wind from Johns Hopkins, effects of lunar dust on EVA systems. And I don't know if these things, adhesion in a vacuum environment and its implications. So this is about why it might not stick. So if we click through here, PDF, that might be a bit much for us. But again, what we wanted here was we wanted unusual patterns and discovered these distinctive patterns are the result of the Gortler instability, a fluid dynamics phenomenon. All right. So we did say, we wanted the best sources here, and we're leaning into it. And what are we getting? We're getting more academic sources, and we're getting more complexity of the explanation here, right? Whereas the first pass was less complexity. Now, if we don't like this complexity, we can go back and we can say, we don't have to do it this way, right? We can go back here and we can say, look, explain this like I'm 5. Explain this like I'm an 8th grader, something like that, right? It doesn't have to necessarily get us to more complexity. So these are just two examples where we try to get it in, track it down, follow up, rather than make sort of gigantic things here where I show every aspect of this. I've been playing with this model now for, I want to say 2 months or more. 2 months, like end of July. So I've got a ton of stuff I want to tell people about it. And if I do that all in one video, it's gonna be 6 hours long. It's gonna be like the I don't know. I was gonna make an art film joke about like 3-hour films, but like the perfect example is escaping me here. So this is the end of this video. But again, what did we do? One, with both of these things, we didn't stress about the correct search terms. We just selected the claim itself, and we just threw it into AI mode, either through select and search or that Google Lens that we did with the image, and then just got it into AI. And then in one case, we used track it down. We just tried to get out, and we got to that Reuters article, right? In that Reuters article had the answers that we needed. In another case, we used an evidence-focused follow-up to say, look, we actually want a better source, right? A better sources here. So give us your better set of sources. And when we did that, what did we get? All the Quora stuff kind of faded out, and we got Johns Hopkins, we got NASA, and it was stuff that was at a higher level, right? It was stuff that was definitely at a higher level of complexity than what we were seeing in the Quora stuff, right? But that's what we asked for. We could ask for something else. That's just one type of follow-up. You'll see here in my follow-ups file, I have a lot of different ways of thinking about evidence and trying to reslice evidence. Facts and misconceptions about what I posted, look for the most recent information and give me some of that. Where did the claim come from? Some sifty sorts of things. What I'll try to do is in future videos, I will try to pick different claims and show various aspects of different follow-ups, as well as some of the ways that tracking it down can sometimes reveal surprising things, I think. We'll see. Again, when you work with live examples, everything's a little surprising. Anyway, here it is. I'm revealing it to the world. Get it in, track it down, follow up. And eventually I'll get a blog post up on it. But if you've followed this, you're among the first to see this model. Be talking about it more later.